Doggie, Detective Paws, the case of the missing cat. Before Detective Paws became the neighborhood's favorite, Detective Dog, he was just a tiny pup with an unusually keen sense of smell. His owners, the Applegates, had adopted him from the local shelter on a rainy afternoon. As soon as they saw him with his attentive eyes and perky ears, they knew he was special. They named him Paws, hoping he would step into a life of adventure. From a young age, Paws exhibited a natural curiosity and a remarkable ability to sniff out anything hidden or lost. He could find lost keys, remote controls, and even Mrs. Applegate's glasses whenever they went missing. His talent for solving mini mysteries around the house quickly earned him the nickname Detective Paws among family and friends. Detective Paws wasn't just any detective dog. He wore a tiny detective hat and had a magnifying glass that dangled from his collar, gifts from his loving owner, Mrs. Applegate. She knew Paws was special, not just for his detective skills but for his big heart. One day, while Paws was sniffing around his backyard, Mrs. Applegate came out with a worried look on her face.
Paws, we have a mystery to solve. Fluffy, Mrs. Thompson's precious cat, has gone missing,
she exclaimed. Paws's ears perked up, and his tail started its rhythmic wagging. He was ready for the adventure. Armed with his hat and trusty magnifying glass, Paws trotted down the street, following a trail of clues. First, he found a tuft of white fur caught on a fence near Mrs. Thompson's house.
A clue,
he barked happily. Following the trail led him to a series of paw prints that abruptly ended near the park. Here, Paws had to rely on his nose, sniffing each bush and path with precision. After discovering Fluffy's collar near the swing set, Paws continued his search into a small wooded area. He sniffed around tirelessly, but the trail seemed to vanish. Just as he was about to leave the woods, he heard a rustle in the bushes. Excited, Paws dashed towards the sound, expecting to find Fluffy. Instead, he came face to snout with a mischievous raccoon, who seemed quite amused by the commotion. The raccoon, with a twinkle in its eye, scampered off, leaving Paws to ponder his next move.
After his encounter with the mischievous raccoon, Detective Paws, slightly disheartened but not deterred, continued his quest. With his nose to the ground, he followed another faint scent that led him towards the park's picnic area. Here, the smells of various foods filled the air, confusing his senses momentarily. As he navigated through the area, a gentle breeze carried the aroma of tuna, surely a cat's delight. Following the enticing scent, Detective Paws found himself at the feet of an elderly gentleman quietly feeding a group of stray cats. Detective Paws eagerly scanned the group, but alas, Fluffy was not among them. With a polite nod to the gentleman, Detective Paws resumed his search. His spirits lifted as he caught a new scent, distinct and promising. This trail led him to the back of a small cafe bordering the park. The kitchen door was slightly ajar, allowing delicious smells and, more importantly, new clues to seep out. Inside, Detective Paws found a cozy corner where a small grey cat napped peacefully amidst sacks of flour.
Excuse me, are you Fluffy?
Detective Paws barked a bit more loudly than intended. Startled, the cat jolted awake and hissed.
Who dares disturb Luna's slumber?
She spat, her eyes narrowing into slits. Detective Paws took a step back, his ears drooping.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm Detective Paws, the detective dog. I'm looking for a missing cat named Fluffy.
Luna relaxed slightly, her gaze softening.
Well, I'm certainly not Fluffy. I'm Luna, the queen of this kitchen, and you, sir, have mistaken your case.
She meowed, flicking her tail dismissively. Detective Paws apologized, his voice gentle.
I thought you might be her. Sorry for the mix-up. Thank you, Luna. I'll continue my search elsewhere.
As Detective Paws trotted out, Luna called after him.
Good luck, Detective Paws. This park could use more like you.
Reinvigorated by Luna's unexpected encouragement, Detective Paws headed back into the park, ready to follow his next clue. His adventure was far from over, and his determination to find Fluffy was stronger than ever. Determined not to give up, Paws decided to retrace his steps. As he walked back through the park, he noticed a small overlooked path leading behind the soccer fields. Following this new lead, his nose led him to a peculiar sight. Fluffy was perched high atop the scoreboard, watching the soccer match below with keen interest. It seemed she had found the perfect spot to enjoy her own little adventure. With a bit of coaxing and the promise of her favorite treats, Paws managed to guide Fluffy safely down from her lofty perch. Together, they made their way back to a very relieved Mrs. Thompson, who had been worried sick. She showered Paws with hugs and treats, proclaiming him the hero of the day.
Thank you, Paws. You're our neighborhood hero.
Good hero, she praised. As Paws trotted home, his belly full of treats and his heart full of pride, he learned that even the best detectives are sometimes led astray by false clues. But perseverance and a keen nose can lead to a happy resolution. He had also taught everyone a valuable lesson. No matter how small you are, you can make a big difference with a little determination and a lot of heart. Back home, as Paws settled down for a well-deserved nap, Mrs. Applegate smiled at her clever dog.
You're not just a detective. Paws, you're a true friend.
And so, in the quiet comfort of his home, Detective Paws dreamed of his next big adventure, ready to solve any mystery that came his way, one sniff at a time.
You just enjoyed A Little Minds Dream Big, original story, brought to you by Camberg Books. Follow us and enjoy our next little big adventure.